People Democratic Party in Kogi State has won against releasing the balance of 30 billion naira bailout to the state government under the leadership of Governor Yaya Bello. The party claimed he had gathered that Governor Bello and the Commissioner for Finance had intensified effort in lobbying the federal government to secure the release of the balance of the bailout. The PDP in the statement, which was signed by the State Publicity Secretary, Bode Ogumala, said there was need to probe into the utilization of the past fund so far released to the governor. The party noted that the state is hugely indebted and is owing workers' salary of upward of 38 months after it has taken several loans from the bank without any development to show for it. The PDP said all the administration has embarked upon is reckless looting of state resources, and any attempt to compromise by the CBN will be a great disservice to the suffering people of Kogi State. PDP disclosed that the bailout itself is not a free fund, as the money is a loan that will be paid back over a period of time with 9% interest. The PDP, however, explained that while it is not against the payment of workers their entitlement, it was pertinent that the Central Bank of Nigeria should initiate moves to probe the utilization of the earlier releases and made arrangements to pay the workers directly. The opposition party warned that any further release to Bello will amount to disservice to the poverty-stricken workers of Kogi State, pointing out that the government is financially reckless and it has a penchant for not paying salary. The elders of All Progressive Congress (APC) in Akwa Ibom State has alleged that the former governor of the state, Senator Godswill Akpabio, is unfit to become a minister under the next administration of President Muhammadu Buhari. The elders, in a letter to President Buhari, which was made available to journalists, warned him not to dent his image by appointing Senator Akpabio as a minister because of the corruption allegation hanging on his neck. The group, under the aegis of Ibom Integrity Initiative, in the protest letter warned that appointing the former governor a minister will only be an invitation for crisis in Akwa Ibom. The protest letter was signed by the executive vice president of the group, Dr. Asukwo Edendem Etim, and copied to the national chairman of the party, Adams Oshiomole, the secretary to the government of the federation, Boss Mustafa, and the chief of staff to the president, Abba Kari. The letter read, Mr. President, the second mandate affords you the opportunity to select your minister in the manner that will ensure that they do not become a liability to your government or dent your impeccable image, character with non-corruption allegation or propensity for pettiness, mischief and treachery and vendetta should be avoided. Labour and Employment Minister Chris Ngige has urged the state government and underemployer of labour to start the implementation of the 30,000 naira minimum wage. He said that immediate implementation of the new salary regime remains the only way to avoid a huge backlog of arrears that will likely create labor unrest for them. Ngige also advised the state to avoid the mistake they made in 2011 when they carried out percentage increase across the board for workers, thereby placing them in a position of not being able to pay wage, adding that any state that does percentage increase, it will put itself in a disadvantaged position as it will not be able to pay. The minister told journalists that no state governor can refuse to implement the minimum wage, being a national law, adding that the earlier they start the implementation, the better it will be for them. Ngige said, with the signing of the new minimum wage bill into the law by the president, the new wage now take effect from April 18, 2019, adding that any employer of labor that has not commenced the payment is already owing the workers arrear of the new wage.
Executive Secretary, Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TED Fund, Professor Suleiman Bogoro, has called for the establishment of National Research and Development (R&D) Foundation, which seeks to coordinate national framework for the sustenance and implementation of R&D in the country. Professor Bogoro, who was speaking during the inauguration of an ad hoc committee to deepen research and development mandate of the fund, said the foundation, when established, would promote an effective interface between the universities, government, and private sector, especially the industrial subsector of the economy.
What we're about to do is supposed to be a small but very significant event that could be a reference about the attempted, do we call it institutionalization of R&D, but actually a revolution in bringing the research community and the industry on the same platform, with government playing facilitating role through enabling laws and policy. That makes the tripod.
Commended the Executive Secretary of National Universities Commission, NUC, Professor Rashid Abubakar, for providing leadership in respect of institutionalization of R&D in tertiary education subsector.
My greatest joy is that NUC, where I shared my vision with, might have started a little bit slowly, but under the leadership of Professor Rashid Abubakar as the Executive Secretary, NUC has taken over from TED Fund. I'm so happy. That is how it should be. We are funders first and foremost. Yes, we generate vision and ideas, but believe me, if these are not accepted by the regulatory agencies, being NUC for universities, NBTE for polytechnics, these first two, and of course, thirdly, NCCE for College of Education, there is something missing.
In their separate acceptance speech, the newly inaugurated committee promised to work together to ensure that the vision of the fund is fulfilled.
That when you talk about ranking of universities, all the groups that rank universities make research very critical in their ranking systems.
Correct. Not buildings.
Not buildings, not number of students.
Thank you.
But research and the impact of research.
Thank you. Thank you.
Those are the things that make institutions popular.
We cannot be boasting that we have the largest economy in Africa, that our GDP is bigger than that of South Africa. Then South Africa is number 58. India is number 57. We are sitting, the giant of Africa, with countries like Burundi. That's where we are. And that's balance. That's why we keyed into these visions. It's not just your legacy. I agree with Prof. This is the biggest commitment that personally.
In Abuja, LM Chukwemeka reports.
The People's Democratic Party (PDP) has lamented that the country has been witnessing what it called escalated despondency, depression, and mystery since the conclusion of the last presidential election. The party urged Nigerians to support one another at this trying period in order to check rising social degeneration, particularly suicide. Its position was contained in a statement by the National Publicity Secretary, Kola Olagbodiyan. The PDP described poverty, hunger, and rising insecurity under the incompetent, corrupt, divisive, manipulative, or progressive Congress administration as a national tragedy. The statement read, banditry, insurgency, murdering, bloodletting, and kidnapping with unmentionable ransom have almost become a daily occurrences. Our citizenry is now battling with the worst kind of siege mentally. The party position said it was saddening that at the time Nigerians ought to be celebrating, that they were rather for long committed suicide and exiting the country in droves. PDP alleged that President Muhammadu Buhari led APC administration has refused to allow any scrutiny of its book, claiming that the record was a catalogue of corruption, treasury, looting, violation, impunity, and art that has brought the nation to its knee. Kano State Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje has forwarded the names of the 36 newly appointed permanent secretary to the NDLEA to undergo drug tests to establish their mental state of health before assuming duties. The governor warned that any of the new appointees who fail the test will be dropped, adding that his administration has zero tolerance for drugs. According to him, the measure was aimed at ensuring that only those with a sound mental health were appointed to positions of the authority to enable them offer quality and effective leadership to enable the state government to ascend to the next level of economic growth. The governor also spoke in Kano after the swearing in of the 36 newly appointed permanent secretary by the State Commissioner for Justice and Attorney General Ibrahim Mukhtar, or the new permanent secretary, to focus on internal generated revenue (IGR) so as to be able to pay 30,000 naira approved minimum wage to all civil servants. Also, the governor advised the permanent secretary to demonstrate leadership by example by being the first to resume and last to depart, adding that they must avoid indiscipline, lateness, and early closing from work. Reiterating his gender sensitive, Ganduje noted that out of the 36 newly appointed permanent secretary, 11 of them were female, which constitutes 30% of the appointees. He added that the women are a lot more committed and focused than their male counterparts.
Kaduna State Polytechnic, University of Maiduguri, and 3 others have bagged the National Tertiary Admission Performance Merit Award for their outstanding performance in the 2018 admission by Joint Admission and Matriculation Board (JAMB). Vice President Yemi Oshibanjo, who handed over the award to the recipient institution in Abuja, said tertiary institutions have important roles to play in the survival of the nation. Oshibanjo, represented by Senior Special Assistant to the President, Mrs. Miriam Uwais, urged all institutions to maintain and attain an acceptable standard.
In ensuring that the nation's tertiary institutions maintain and sustain what I call universal standards, JAMB's efforts at ensuring that the tertiary institutions perform excellently in the process of access to the institutions has been very commendable. This would surely engender healthy competition amongst institutions and ultimately open access to only those who deserve to be in those institutions. This would also lead to having students that are well prepared for the challenge of research, discovery, development, invention, and reorientation, which are required to uplift development in our nation and put us on the pedestrian with other nations in the global village.
In his remark, Minister of Education Malam Adamu Adamu urged other parastatals of government to support institutions in the bid to promote nation's development.
The thoughtful idea of this award is another creativity. I urge the team to keep up with this wonderful program and possibly introduce more interventions with the renewed, rewarding, and symbiotic relationship that now exists between the board and tertiary institutions.
The 10th Governing Board was prompt in approving the 5 categories of award to be presented today at its 4th meeting held on the 5th of November 2018. The awards could not have been conferred until the admission exercise is concluded, hence what appears as delay. The awards are in 5 categories. They are the most subscribed institution by candidates. 2, the most national in admission of candidates. 3, the highest in number of admitted international students. 4, the most improved over previous years in intake of female students. 5, the best in compliance to the policy guidelines for admission.
University of Ilorin, Ahmad Bello University Zaria, and Rivers State University were among those that bagged the award. They all received the sum of 25 million naira each from JAMB. In Abuja, LM Chukwemeka reports.